I thought I'm on. Test. I'm not on either. Is our person here from technology?
Do we have a technology?
We do have test. Oh, there it is. Oh, thank you, Donnie. I now reconvene to the regular meeting. That is number 7. I now reconvene to the regular meeting of the Board of Education at 7 o'clock with Blair, Cruz, Na, Rosca, and Fikes present. Before we begin, please silence all electronic devices and note that these proceedings are being recorded. The board met in closed session from 5:20 to 6:20 regarding conference with legal counsel, existing and anticipated litigation, a student expulsion matter, public employee employment, coordinator access and equity and assessment, coordinator behavior intervention, coordinator technology, principal Buena Vista High School, elementary and high school assistant principals, and public employee discipline dismissal release. The board took action to appoint Imelda Carasosa, Coordinator Access, Equity, and Assessment, effective July 1, 2018, by the following vote. Do we read it out?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Cruz? Yes? I have to, okay, so Cruz, yes. Na, yes. Orozco, yes. Fikes, yes. And Mrs. Blair was not present. And that is all we have to read out at that time. So, Mr. Joseph, would you lead us tonight in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, I will. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the evening's only presentation, we have Mr. James Moore, Superintendent Alta Loma School District. Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, and our audience. I am here today representing County Superintendent Ted Alejandre and our County Board President, Sherman Garnett, to recognize Mr. Joseph's years of service to our community as superintendent. And as some of you know, I had the great privilege of spending many, many years in Chino Valley School District as principal and working closely with Wayne as principals of Chino High and Chino Hills, respectively. So it's not for just anybody that I would come to another board meeting on my own. So I learned a lot of great things from Wayne, and one of the most important things is a favorite saying of his, which is when you're speaking in public, be brief, be sincere, and be seated. So I will try and follow that tenet very much tonight and keep my remarks short. But as you all know, Wayne's a true Renaissance man, an avid reader, a published author, and a man with incredible fashion sense. And he served the Chino Valley School District for over 20 years, and superintendent is 8. And I always like to say that superintendents are sort of like dog years because it's so difficult. And so that's really almost 56 years as superintendent, Wayne, in dog years. So you got a lot to be proud of. But you've really made a positive impact on the students and the families of the Chino Valley. And on behalf of County Superintendent Alejandre, in recognition of your exemplary services in public education and dedication to staff, students, and families, we salute your commitment to professional excellence and your contributions to the education community in San Bernardino County. So congratulations on your retirement, and thank you. On behalf of the county superintendent, some gifts.
Well, thank you so much.
Real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Jim.
You're very welcome.
We are now at comments from employee representatives. Yvette Farley is not in our audience tonight. Brenda Walker is not in the audience tonight. Danny Hernandez, it's no comments. So other community liaisons, Melissa Campani and Suzette Dang from Superintendent Hagman's office.
Well, good evening, President Fikes and board members and cabinet members. Thank you so much for having us this evening. Supervisor Hagman asked Suzette and myself to stop by tonight. We do have a resolution from the County of San Bernardino to present to our wonderful Superintendent Wayne Joseph. And we have a lot of facts about your illustrious career here, and it has also been signed by Robert Levingood, who is the chairman of the Board of Supervisors, and Kurt Hagman, the Vice Chairman of the Board of Supervisors. So I just want to read just a little bit for you. I know it's rather lengthy, and I'll be quick. I learned my lesson. Whereas Superintendent Wayne M. Joseph has served with honor and distinction for the last 22 years in the Chino Valley Unified School District, after serving over 20 years in a neighboring district. So we thank you very much for your service to our children. I myself have 2 in the district. I'm sorry, actually I have 3. But thank you very much for your years of service, and you will be missed. Thank you.
I don't see Mr. Bennett. Is someone else here from Chino Hills? I don't see Mr. Rodriguez. No one else is here from Chino or Mike Krieger. Okay, then we are now to comments from the audience on items not on the agenda. Speakers will be called in the order the request was received. Please listen for your name and be prepared to approach the podium. Any comments on agenda items will be accepted during consideration of that item. Once the board has commenced deliberations on an issue, speaker cards will not be accepted. The board's very interested in your comments, but please bear in mind that the board typically does not respond to comments during this time on the agenda, as it's reserved specifically for public comments. Individuals may respond during board comments at the end. Mrs. Blair, will you please explain the light system?
Speakers will be called in the order the request was received. Oh, that was yours. Speakers, you have 3 minutes in which to make your comments. Please begin your comments at the green light. The yellow light indicates you have 30 seconds in which to complete your comments. The red light indicates your time is over. And before you begin your comments, please adjust the microphone as necessary so that you can be clearly heard. And audience members, please refrain from making comments while speakers are at the podium.
Additionally, speakers, please remember that in accordance with Board Bylaw 9323, Bylaws of the Board, Meeting Conduct, limit remarks to 3 minutes, total for all remarks, and please limit remarks to new points. The board would like to remind you that Board Policy 1312.1 contains the procedure for filing a complaint against a district employee. No speaker shall exceed the 3-minute limit. And the first speaker is, now those of you who have been here before know that Mrs. Kaler usually calls out 3 speakers so you can be ready. So I'm going to try to do that, but in her absence, if I fail, I apologize in advance that I don't have you in the on-bat square. So we'll start with Tisha Partita, then Roman Medina, and then Kelly Duffy.
My name is Tisha Partita, and I'm an alumni, a parent of 3 Don Lugo graduates, and a walk-on chair advisor at Don Lugo. I'm here to speak on behalf of the latest bashing of our school this past couple of weeks on social media, and now most recent, the television news media. First of all, I'd like to share, 2 years ago, I was a concerned parent and had questions regarding fundraising, accountability of money, as well as some unfavorable bullying of football players by a coach. I did the right thing. I emailed my concerns to the superintendent, Mr. Joseph, who I must say replied in a very prompt manner. He redirected me to Dr. Cabrera, the principal at Don Lugo, and advised me that there was proper channels to seek with my concern. And yes, she handled my situation with the utmost dignity and respect. The reason I bring this up today is I'm a parent, and I had to go through the proper channels, reference my concern, but I witnessed an elected official for our district ignore the proper channels of the principal and the superintendent and go above them, pulling my power strings. Why is that? I would also like to share that I am at the school every day at 1:45 for cheer practice, and as I wait in the parking lot near the weight room, I observe the freshman football players in their sixth period class. They are supervised, and need I say, they are looking like a normal group of boys having a great time in their PE class. In the past couple of weeks, I have read some false allegations in the paper as well as the social media, dragging our coaches' names through the mud as well as our principal's name over and over. I've kept my composure and I did not reply to the garbage, but how long do we have to stay quiet as we watch one person tear down our school, which she is supposed to be representing our board? So the so-called facts, the coaches were on the varsity field during sixth period with varsity players, leaving the freshmen unsupervised. That is untrue. Our varsity and JV players had first period athletic PE. Then again, through the social media, newspaper, and TV news, all the Lugo football players were being grouped into this incident that occurred back in November with the freshmen. I take it personal because my son was a varsity team captain who took pride in representing his school and his team and knows that he is responsible for his actions on and off the field. And the most of the freshmen must have been intimidated was one of the quotes by the seniors forcing them to do this. Wrong. The seniors had one goal in mind, work as a team chasing their dreams for the CIF championship title. The bus rides and away games, the students unsupervised, I again have experienced several bus rides. And I know that those bus drivers give it their all. I could tell you right now this is a personal allegation against our attack against our principal. You saw this room packed with Coach Gano. You better reserve the Citizens Business Bank if you want to get rid of our principal, who is amazing, Dr. Cabrera, because we will fill up that forum. Thank you.
Roman Medina, followed by Kelly Duffy, and then Michael Cha.
Hello, I'm Roman Medina. My son was on the Don Lugo freshman football team. As a parent of Don Lugo, I'm very upset as to the allegations that have been put out for public judgment. I want to go on record to say I believe the administration at Don Lugo handled this issue correctly. I do, however, have a big issue with what is being said about the school and freshman football team. I have watched the news and social media be flooded with lots of untruths. I want to make clear that during the football season, the freshman team had a Facebook page in which Mrs. Blair was the administrator. At any time, she could have informed us of what was going on and what was being voted on. She never posted or informed any parents of what occurred. The fact of the matter is, what happened is unacceptable. I'm not here to support the actions of what took place in this room. I am here, however, to support all the parties involved with the investigation, from Don Lugo to Chino to Chino Police Department and to the school board. I am of the opinion that the parties that I pay taxes to protect my children did their part. Excuse me. I can debate until the end of the time whether there is a moral or legal obligation. What I can't debate is that we currently have a set of parents that are after a money grab, in my opinion. One person was so disgusted to be part of our program that she started a social media page, attended our football banquet, and even let her son be a part of our team until a few weeks ago. The other person was kind enough to open her trunk after every game and give the players sodas and snacks. This is a tremendous amount of support for such a horrible program. Giving our tax dollars to these two would be a complete joke. They have cast the freshman football team as villains for the sake of their 15 minutes of fame. That is morally wrong, and nobody can dispute that. I would like to state a couple facts. Dr. Cabrera did contact my wife and informed her of what was going on. The Chino police department did their job, and my daughter just graduated from this great school. And I look forward to my son completing 3 more years at this school. Thanks.
Michael Cha, then, oh, I'm sorry, Kelly, I almost went right over you. I'm so
No, don't
sorry.
skip me.
It'll be Kelly Duffy, thank you for being patient with me. Then Michael Cha, and then someone whose last name begins with Ohad? Kihava, and I can't read the first name. Oh, Maureen, thank you. So you're in the third position, Maureen. Thank you. Ms. Duffy.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. My son was on the freshman football team. As an involved parent in the football program, I have been closely paying attention to what has been stated via board meetings, social media, newspaper articles, television reports, and radio interviews. I have also been comparing what has been said to what my and my family's experience this past season has been. I'm going to begin with the claim that seems to be the biggest at the moment, the claim that no one was notified that anything had occurred or that their child would be interviewed. While I cannot speak for every parent on the team, I can say that I was notified. I received a call from Dr. Cabrera stating that they would be interviewing my son in regards to an incident that occurred on the freshman football team. When my son was called in, he was asked if he would like to talk to them now or if they should call me so I could sit in on the interview with him. He elected to do the interview himself because he, as he stated to me, had nothing to hide. I asked my son about the interview, and he told me what they had talked about. He also told me that he was asked if he needed to speak to a counselor or anyone else about what had happened. He told them no. The interview was concluded with him being told that if he ever needs to speak to someone about anything that occurred, to contact Dr. Cabrera, and she would get him the services he required. It strikes me as very interesting that Mrs. Hernandez-Blair's claim of not notifying parents of anything has been placed on the school, the district, and the board. As was stated, there was a freshman football Facebook page created, which she was the administrator, and the purpose of that page was to keep parents informed of important news, events, and dates regarding the freshman football team. The majority of parents were on that page. Mrs. Hernandez-Blair had access to these parents at any given moment. Isn't something such as harassment or bullying on the team an important matter that she should have let the parents know about? Knowing and not saying, with ample opportunity to tell parents, is just as bad, if not worse, than staying quiet. I am not condoning or defending what occurred. It was wrong. We all know that. Mrs. Blair keeps talking about a safe environment for every student. Right now, my son is not one of the students on Mrs. Hernandez's Every Student agenda, nor is any student that is currently on campus while reporters and news cameras are looking around. At what point does my son and the rest of the Don Lugo students start mattering? Mrs. Hernandez-Blair keeps talking about how stressed and nervous her son was, but apparently it doesn't matter to her that she has created a media and social media frenzy that is causing players to receive nonstop questions and degrading remarks. This is causing many young children stress. With the police department investigation, a school investigation, and an outside independent investigation, all of which found that no criminal acts were committed, I can say I feel comfortable with how this situation was handled, and I believe that my son will be safe and well taken care of when I drop him off for the first day of school in August. Thank you.
Michael Cha, Maureen, and Linda Higgins.
Good evening. Education Board of Chino Hill Valley School District, teachers, parents, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to pray for all of your judgment and give my son an equal opportunity to study in Chino Valley School District. I'm Michael Chu, and my son is Jonathan Chu, who has completed kindergarten in Montessori School of Chino Hills. The school district has denied my son to enroll into first grade, and I'm coming here to hope to give my son that he deserves. Before coming, I spoke to a lot of people, including Jonathan's teacher, two attorneys, a board member of the Rowan High School District, a professor in CSU Fullerton, and a few parents that have their children enrolled into the Chino Valley School District. All of them support Jonathan. I also spoke to Ms. Roseanne Fiedler, who works in Curriculum Frameworks and Instructional Resources Division in the California Department of Education. She said, setting up such a blog on the student road to success is not education. I consider myself as a good parent. I know what it takes to make children succeed. I do not want my child to go to first grade if he's not ready. I want my child to spend time to play and be creative and socialize and be happy, instead of spending every day only committed to his studies, though I still want to make sure he's doing well in school. So when I saw my son's teacher assign second grade work to him, I asked, is it going to be too early for him? But his teacher simply said, well, Jonathan enjoys it. However, I don't want to force Jonathan to study second grade. I just want him to enjoy school. But when the Chino Valley School District decided Jonathan should retake kindergarten, I was very disappointed. So look at this drawing. This is not like a computer printout of the color page. Okay, it's not a trace. There's no pencil mark. It's just drawn directly from the marker. And this is the work that he has done. Okay, and this is the math that he's working on. Okay. So why you think the child you have to retain in the kindergarten? But I'm not here to debate about what is education. I'm here to talk about the law. But too bad this probably is going to time now. But let me cut it in short. According to both California Education Code 48001 and it clear states that kindergarten student can get into first grade, but you have two scenarios. One, the student have not completed 1 year of kindergarten, and one, the student who has completed 1 year of kindergarten. Pursuant to California's Education Code 48011, a child who consists with section 48000, is it 3 minutes yet?
Yeah, it's time.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, thank you.
Maureen, Linda Higgins, and then Lori Brenes. Would you pronounce your last name again?
Quijada.
Quijada. Thank you.
Well, it's been a while. How is everybody? I seen the news. I had to come. I had to tell my story. Mrs. Blair, thank you. On January 10th, 2014, my daughter was burned with both arms, 2 to 3 burns. I came here asking for help, asking for you to do something, asking for you to make the school was accountable. The only one that did anything was Mrs. Blair. She demanded you to do something. We're not perfect. We all make mistakes. Kids make bad decisions. Adults, we make bad decisions. But you people, you are the board. You were over the principal, you were over the coaches, everybody. You should have handled it correctly. Because guess what? Lawsuits, attorneys, who are they going to be speaking to? The principal? They're going to be speaking to you, to your attorneys. I'm sorry for both sides. I really am. I know how you feel, Miss Blair, because I have been in a position where your child has been hurt, and even your children are being hurt. And you feel just, what can I do? But I, as a mom, that my child had been burned, and you did nothing, I hold you responsible for it. Because you had that right. You have the power to change things. And this happening here, it's happening all over the states. Things like this are happening in other schools, in other districts. You can make a change. You can. It's sad that it had to get to this point, that the media had to get involved, and kids on both sides are getting hurt. And I feel bad for the kids, because mentally, both sides are being affected. And I'm going to tell you, I can speak because of my lawsuit. I'm freely to speak on it. It was never about the money. It was always about the principle of doing nothing. Hopefully, you will start changing things. Mr. Reelfield, I hope from you taking office that things will change and things will get better. I'm sorry to the Don Lugo parents, and I'm sorry, Ms. Blair. I really do feel for all of you. And as my daughter wanted me to tell you, thank you for making that move. She was very successful. She graduated from Ayala High School. With open arms, Ayala took her. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Higgins, Lori Brenes, and Peter Atwood.
Hello, my name is Linda Higgins. I have 4 children, one of whom is still in the Chino Valley Unified School District, and I'm here to talk about the sexual hazing incident. I feel bad for both sides. It's a really tough situation. We weren't there, but I've looked on Facebook and seen parents reporting that their children weren't hurt, that the other kids that were there were not hurt. I don't think we give our boys enough room to talk. We don't encourage them. We shut them down from talking about their feelings. And of course, being in that room was at the very least uncomfortable and potentially abusive. The boys are not given permission to talk about their feelings, and then they become angry. They cut off from themselves, from those who love them. They become aggressive. They become self-harming. We've had students in our district who've committed suicide after having been bullied. What I saw on the tape, and I didn't see the whole tape, I just saw what was on the news, it was abusive. We need to take care of our boys. We need to encourage them to be open and talk about how this behavior hurts. They may not do that, but we need to give them the opportunity. And to the board, those boys, both the ones who were the perpetrators, the victims, the witnesses, they need to know that you're behind them. Those perpetrators were just thrown out of school, from what I understand. They were expelled. And that may or may not be the appropriate thing to happen, but they need to know that you're also holding the adults accountable. And I don't know if you have or not. We've seen nothing about that. The victims need to know that you're holding the perpetrators and the administration and the teachers, everyone accountable. Now, I'm not saying they should fire people. I don't know enough about it to make those kinds of judgments. But they need to know that you're behind them so that they are free to share what happened to them. And the other people who were in the room who I believe were victims, my father was an abusive man. He beat my mother. I observed that, and I was a victim of that. These kids didn't observe someone being beaten, but it was not appropriate, and they need to know you're behind them. So thank you for listening to me. I'm really sorry for everyone. This is just a horrible situation.
Lori Brenes, Peter Atwood, followed by Karina Talamantes.
Good evening. My name is Lori Brenes. I'm also a parent of a football player at Don Lugo. I'm reading this on behalf of another parent who she lives in Whittier and she couldn't make it out here. She says, Dear Don Lugo High School and Chino Valley Unified School District, my name is Monica Clements, mother of Enrique Contreras. I am concerned about all the accusations regarding the circumstances that occurred involving my son and his fellow teammates. Lately, many people have been trying to reach out to my son, calling him a victim of bullying. By all means, let me get the record straight. My son, Enrique Contreras, was not, and let me repeat, not again a victim of bullying. The other boys involved are very good friends with my son. In no way were they bullying my son. In fact, those are his friends. They have known him for many years. They grew up together playing in Chino Pop Warner. I'm tired of everyone calling my son and reaching out to us, claiming he is a victim. It all needs to stop. I do not condone bullying, and I do not appreciate people using my son's incident as a reason to lash out towards other people and organizations to claim pity parties, referring to Irene Hernandez Blair. She is simply trying to catch a nonsense attention and drama for her own greedy needs. This is ridiculous. So please, I ask you to people to please stop calling my son a victim. And if there is no crime or any type of incident that occurred, none of these people are victims. They were friends. She said, if you wish to reach out to me, please feel free to contact me, and I would be more than happy to talk to you. Thank you. And that's Monica Clements. And she said to put in the end of the records, if this continues, by all means, she will take legal actions herself. Thank you.
Peter Atwood, Karina Talamantes, and Sharon Duran.
Well, good evening. I guess I'll say some things that have not been said. One of them is that the idea that Irene has said all of these things because she's looking for attention is, on its face, a stupid thing to say. And the reason we know that is that Irene has been in politics for a while. She's been on the board for a while. She saw the kind of hostility that she was getting from people when she talked about it and everything. So the idea that she spent 10 minutes or whatever it was and on the 14th talking about this in order to get positive attention credits her with being really dumb. She's just not that dumb. She knew perfectly well that most people who listened to that were going to hate her for it, and she did it anyway. So you can forget about that. I guess the other thing that I want to point out is that although I don't know a lot of details about this, I do know from all of the kids that come my way, and starting, of course, with my own kid 11 years ago, that this is entirely in keeping with the way the district does things. This is, in fact, the callousness and the cruelty that the SPED department and others do, and the way that is condoned by the superintendent and by the board members in general. I've seen that for 11 years. I remember saying, in 2008, when I was standing here, I said, there's 11 words. If you just get them down, it'll make everything better. Don't lie to me. Don't cheat me. Don't hurt my kid. And those 11 words have not sunk in. And as I mentioned in my book, those words, getting those 11 words to sink into the district administration and most of the board members here, it's like telling my cats about the idea administrative exhaustion requirement. It sinks in just about as much. It's just totally, it doesn't make any sense to them. The cats aren't interested in the law and the idea, and you guys are not interested in the simple concept. Don't lie to me. Don't cheat me. Don't hurt my kid. When you do these things, we don't like it. What happened to Irene is that you collected the whole set. In her case, you lied to her, you cheated her, and you hurt her kid, and she doesn't like it. And she shouldn't, because she's a mom. And, of course, those that have not felt it on their hides will naturally come up here and all rally around the people who condone this. That's the usual thing. I mean, I live here in a country in which I see people making excuses for Donald Trump separating kids deliberately from their parents and calling themselves Christians. I'm used to all kinds of callousness. But it's still not okay. And whatever else you can say, Irene certainly didn't say those things in order to make everybody fall in love with her.
Karina Talamantes and Sharon Duran.
Hello, my name's Karina Talamantes. I'm here today to obviously talk about the Don Lugo incident that happened last year. Obviously, we all know damn well we were going to show up here to put our 2 cents in. It's unfortunate to come back here to fight for the truth of what my son and his football friends had to endure at Don Lugo. I'm tired of certain individuals continually attacking this issue with, he didn't get enough playing time. She belongs on the board. She wants to promote her photography business. Or better yet, she's just a troublemaker. Enough is enough. You need to stop with all these lies. All of you. Do you realize that my son has looked up to each and every one of the adults that were associated at the in the football program? But now he can't trust anyone. I know you want to stick up for Coach Chino, and that's your prerogative. But it's my prerogative to protect my son as a parent would do. It's incredible that some of you are bashing the victimized kids and their parents on social media. My son was one of the victims, and I'm here to stand up for my son's health and well-being. The thought of my son witnessing a sexual assault right in front of his face for several days is sickening. And being asked from certain boys numerous times for a Brazilian lap dance, that was puzzling to him. My son was also having to have his guard up when he went to his 6th period class. I guess the thought of leaving 50 kids, or I should say 50 plus kids, in a classroom by themselves was a fabulous idea, which obviously was not. I still want answers on how you're going to protect the other kids in their classrooms. I want an apology to my son and to the boys who might be suffering in silence. Someone needs to be reprimanded for the lack of common sense of leaving children, I repeat, leaving children alone in a classroom. Let's face it, this isn't the only sexual harassment case in this district. Other families have mentioned it on social media, and other cases have come and gone with no discipline. I have sent emails to all of you for help and guidance, and only 2 of you responded. Why? Why 2? There's many of you up there. Not even a, we'll look into it.
Thank you.
It's about time to collect.
Sharon Duran.
I think you're just collecting a check to go home. It's just disgusting.
Your time is up. Thank you.
I know it is.
Good evening, Board and Superintendent. First, I would like to ask why weren't any criminal charges filed regarding this case? I say this because I attended 3 parent and student workshops this last school year regarding social media, drug trends, sexting. At each workshop, Chino PD was present and made it very clear that sexting is a huge problem, that minor sexting any parts of exposed genitalia is child pornography. The parent/adult named on the cell phone will have to register as a sex offender. I have 2 boys entering junior high school, and I have made it clear that I will have an app so I can monitor phone activity. They didn't like that. Until 2 weeks ago, my 2 junior high students attended the Chino PD workshop. One of my sons came home and told me, "It is better if you can see everything that is sent to me. I don't want to get in trouble for someone sending me something I shouldn't have on my phone." He's 12 years old, so he understood that. I'm sure most of these high school kids get it. Mr. Medina, I would like to make a comment about what you said about Mrs. Blair notifying parents. She is not allowed to notify any parents what the board is talking about or voting on or the specifics of those things behind closed doors. We all know that. Thank you.
We are now at changes and deletions. The following, there are no changes or deletions on the agenda tonight. So we are now at action items. Item 2A1, Resolution 2017-2018-86, Order of Election and Specifications of the Election Order in the Chino Valley Unified School District of San Bernardino County, California. Resolution ordering school district election for governing board members whose terms expire December 7th, 2018. The recommendation is to adopt said resolution. There are no speakers. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Are there comments, questions, or discussions on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. The next item is Curriculum Instruction, Innovation, and Support, item 2B1, 2018-2019 Local Control and Accountability Plan. The recommendation is to adopt said plan. There are no speakers on this item. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second, Mrs. Blair. Thank you. Are there comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. The next item is item 2C, Business Services. Actually, item 2C1, Adoption of the 2018-2019 budget. The recommendation is to adopt the budget for all funds and authorize the superintendent or designee to sign the 2018-2019 district certification of budgetary adoption. There are no speakers on this item. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Mr. Nam, second, Mrs. Orozco. Comments, questions, or discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. The next item is Human Resources, item 2D1, revisions to the certificated and classified cabinet salary schedule. The recommendation is for approval. There are no speakers on this item. May I have a motion?
So moved.
A second.
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 Mr. Cruz. Pardon? Oh. Mrs. Orozco just commented that I needed to hold off on the motion until I had read the whole piece that I need to include. So I'm going to read that now, and then we'll take a second motion to vote on it. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, Subdivision C3, the Board provides this oral summary to the recommended revisions to the certificated and classified cabinet salary schedule. Positions added to the local agency executive salary schedule are Associate Superintendent, Business Services, and Associate Superintendent, Curriculum, Instruction, Innovation, and Support, and deleting the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. The terms of the new salary schedule will remain until a time that the Board revises it. The recommended revisions of the executive salary schedule adds the positions of Associate Superintendent of Business Services and Associate Superintendent of Curriculum, Instruction, Innovation, and Support with steps 1, 2, 3, and 4, compensated as follows. Step 1 is $178,556. Step 2 is $185,698. Step 3 is $193,126. And Step 4 is $200,851. There are no other elements of compensation recommended as part of this salary schedule revision. Now may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Comments, questions, or discussion? Mrs. Blair.
Dr. Enfield, the fiscal impact indicates that there is going to be a cost savings. If the associate superintendents, of which you are requesting 2, are replacing the deputy superintendent, who is currently making $178,000, but now we're hiring 2 individuals who are going to earn $178,000. How is that a cost savings?
I don't have all those figures in front of me, so I don't have the exact numbers. When we go through the process, you take the deputy superintendent in that position, you take that salary.
Which is $178,000 right now, correct?
I think it is. I don't have the numbers in front of me. $178,000. And then you take the first step for the associate superintendent. That would be moving up. And then when you take the vacancy of the deputy position, that position becomes a step 1 as an assistant superintendent. in the salary schedule. So for the first year, the deputy's position is going to be vacated and filled with an assistant superintendent position that is on step one. And so that's where the savings comes in.
But that'll be a wash.
No,
But we're adding a second one.
but you're eliminating assistant superintendent of business.
And is that where the difference is? Is
Yeah.
that where the 14,000
Yeah, that's
is
where the
between the two?
difference is. And then when you look at the STRS contributions, that also is part of that calculation, because there's STRS contributions that is part of that. You know, the tax benefits, the taxes that you pay, all that's calculated in there. So in the year one, it's a $14,000 savings.
Only year one?
Only in
And
year one.
in the subsequent years, there won't be any cost savings, correct?
No, that one is correct. Well, I would have to look at year two and project out what that would be.
Okay. You can email that to me
Yeah.
later. Okay.
Because then you have to look at, does somebody leave after year one, and do they go back to step one? So you only do the first year.
Okay.
And I'm sorry I didn't have all the numbers on that.
It's okay.
Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. The next item is item 2D2, employment contracts, Assistant Superintendent Curriculum Instruction Innovation and Support, Assistant Superintendent Facilities Planning and Operations, Associate Superintendent Business Services, and Associate Superintendent Curriculum Instruction Innovation and Support. The recommendation is to approve all the contracts. Did you put a speaker over here? No. Okay. There are no speakers on this item. And so I need to have the audience bear with me. We are required to read all of this information, and much of it is duplicated. I will try to read it in an expeditious manner. Sandra H. Chen. The board will consider the employment of Sandra H. Chen and approve her employment contract. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953 and Subdivision C3, the board provides this oral summary of the salary and fringe benefit recommendation for the following local agency executive. Associate Superintendent Business Services. The term of the new employment contract between the district and the Associate Superintendent Business Services is July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2022. The annual salary to be paid to the Associate Superintendent Business Services is $178,556. And other elements of compensation listed in the contract are health and welfare benefits cap of $8,201 annually, stipend of 4% of the annual salary for a total amount of $7,142.24 for a chief business officer certificate annually, membership dues to the Association of California School Administrators for a total amount of $1,592.90 annually, and the cost of using personal vehicle for district business for a total amount of $350 monthly. Leah Fellows. The board will consider the employment of Leah Fellows and approve her employment contract. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, Subdivision C3, the board provides this oral summary of the salary and fringe benefit recommendation for the following local agency executive: Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum Instruction, Innovation, and Support. The term of the new employment contract between the district and the Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum Instruction, Innovation, and Support is July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2022. The annual salary to be paid to the Assistant Superintendent, Curriculum Instruction, Innovation, and Support is $165,087. And other elements of compensation listed in the contract are health and welfare benefits cap of $8,201 annually, membership dues to the Association of California School Administrators for a total amount of $1,478.62 annually, and the cost of using personal vehicle for district business for a total amount of $350 monthly. Grace Park, EDD. The board will consider the employment of Grace Park, EDD, and approve her employment contract. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, Subdivision C3, the board provides this oral summary of the salary and fringe benefit recommendation for the following local agency executive: Associate Superintendent, Curriculum, Instruction, Innovation, and Support. The term of the new employment contract between the district and the Associate Superintendent, Curriculum, Instruction, Innovation, and Support is July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2022. The annual salary to be paid to the Associate Superintendent, Curriculum, Instruction, Innovation, and Support is $178,556, and other elements of compensation listed in the contract are health and welfare benefits cap of $8,201 annually, stipend of 4% of her annual salary for a total amount of $7,142.24 for a doctoral degree annually, membership dues to the Association of California School Administrators for the total amount of $1,592.90 annually, and the cost of using personal vehicle for district business for a total amount of $350 monthly. Gregory Statura. The board will consider the employment of Gregory J. Statura and approve his employment contract. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, Subdivision C3, the board provides this oral summary of the salary and fringe benefit recommendation for the following local agency executive: Assistant Superintendent, Facilities, Planning, and Operations. The term of the new employment contract between the district and the Assistant Superintendent, Facilities, Planning, and Operations is July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2022. The annual salary to be paid to the Assistant Superintendent, Facilities, Planning, and Operations is $171,688. And other elements of compensation listed in the contract are health and welfare benefits cap of $8,201 annually, membership dues to the Association's California School Administrators for a total of $1,592.90 annually, and the cost of using a personal vehicle for district business for a total amount of $350 monthly. I'm done. Now, with that, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Blair, second Mr. Na. Comments, questions, or discussion? Mr. Na.
Yeah, I have a question with Dr. Enfield. Are salary schedules for cabinet members, are they compatible with surrounding school districts?
When we compared them to other districts, we're in the average.
Average, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This motion passes with a vote of 5-0. This concludes the action items. We are now at consent items, and there are no requests to speak. Board members, do you have any polls? Mrs. Orozco?
Yes, I do. 3B4, page 53.
Is that it? Yes. Okay. Mr. Cruz?
No polls.
Mrs. Blair?
2, 3E1, page 126, and 3E2, page 129.
Mr. Na?
I have no polls.
And I have no polls. For the remainder of the consent items, may I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. So, we'll start, Mrs. Orozco, with item 3B4, page 53.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
So I would like to take this particular item in two parts. So what I'd like to do is to take specifically Chino Hills High School general boosters on its own, and all the remainder as a group, as we normally would.
Are there any other discussion on this item?
So
Do we need to vote
We need a
on,
motion, right?
we had a motion. Go ahead.
but we need to make the motion for the first part.
Okay, so we need another motion?
Well, we
Amended.
need to make the correction.
So we need to make a motion that says we will approve all fundraising activities with the exception of the Chino Hills High School General Boosters, which we will consider separately.
Correct.
Okay, so is there a motion to do that?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Na moved, Mrs. Blair seconded. Okay, and any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The item passes. If you can give me just 1 second to let my writing catch up with our actions. And now, Mrs. Orozco, do you have another?
Yes, let me
Piece,
state, I have some concerns in regards to the Chino Hills High School General Boosters, and so I'd like to have staff address those concerns. And so, because of those concerns, I'd like to ask for the board to do a provisional approval so that they would get approved so they can continue, and the provisional approval would go through 60 days, so about September 6th. It'd come back on our September 6th board meeting for final approval. And within that time, they need to, staff would need to reach out to them and make sure that they address those concerns.
Are there any questions or comments, other discussion on this
Well,
item?
first, so we would have to make a motion
To
to
do
do
that.
a provision, right.
Okay, so the
So I'd
motion
like-
is to provisionally approve Chino Hills High School's boosters
General
until...
boosters,
General boosters, thank you, until September the 6th, 2018.
correct, to come back to our agenda.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Cruz, a second?
Second.
Okay. Now, is there any additional discussion? Mrs. Blair?
What is it that we're holding off for to find out on September 6th?
The concerns that I have are several, and I'd like to present those to staff and have staff get that information from them.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hearing no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0 for a provisional approval.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Blair, item 3E1, 126.
So moved.
Second.
And
My question is specific to the change in assignment for the school secretary 2. I don't know that I ever received information as to why the individual is being demoted. I don't get why they're going from a 2 to a 1. I don't know that I ever received information for that.
This information was provided to the board in closed session, and it had to do with a school site.
I remember the school site discussion. I looked through my notes and I didn't recall. I know that we can't, I'm not discussing what was in closed session. I'm just.
It was this evening, we were under employee discipline dismissal.
Okay. All right. I'll just vote no.
okay.
Yeah. So go ahead.
So is there a motion to consider this item at this
They
time?
did.
We did.
They did.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Me.
Okay. And now, Mrs. Blair, item 3E2, page 129.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, so would you,
No discussion. I just need to abstain.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries 4-0 with one abstention. Thank you very much. So now, I believe, we are at information items. Are there any questions or comments about information items? Hearing none, we are at board member and superintendent communications. Mrs. Orozco.
Okay, so let me get started with our retirements. For certificated management, Mr. Vasquez of Buena Vista High School will be retiring after 19 years of service, principal continuation, Buena Vista High School. Under his direction, he's done so much. I can't remember exactly what was the award that they won, Mr. Joseph. The model continuation under his direction for under the state, and so we wish him well and we thank him for his service. Also, we have Robert Bremer, 34 years of service, teacher at Buena Vista. Richard Martinez, 18 years of service, math teacher at Chino High School. Larry Moore, 15 years of service, PE teacher at Chino Hills High School. We have Barbara Alarcon, 35 years of service. Is it bilingual? Spanish, Newman. Linda Hughes, 24 years of service, admin secretary. And Mark Penner, 34 years of service, programmer, analyst in technology. And I know he's done a lot for our school board. So I want to wish you well. Thank you so much for your service, and enjoy your retirement. And a couple of things. First of all, it's an unfortunate truth that in today's world and with the multitude of social media, we're not provided with all the information. And oftentimes, people tend to focus on their surface or provide us with that which is newsworthy and sometimes misleading by failing to include all the facts. It's so true that there are two sides to every story. And as I shared with another group, I look forward to when the truth is revealed. Next, as you may have heard or possibly read, I've decided not to seek re-election for the school board. And it's been an honor, and I've been so thankful for the opportunity to have served the school board for the past 12 years. Having children in the district while serving as a school board member truly provided me with a unique perspective. During those years, at one time, I had 3 sons at 3 different levels, the primary, the junior high, and the high school. My 3 sons graduated from 3 different high schools in our district, but I graduated from the 4th one, so I got them all covered. Throughout my 3 terms, I have strived to serve with integrity, fiscal prudence, accountability, and thoughtful leadership. And I will continue to serve in that manner until my term ends on December 7th. And a little tidbit. When I saw when my term ends, I was actually first sworn in to office on December 7th, 2006. And I will end my term on December 7th, 2018. I truly enjoy public service, and as someone who has lived in Chino my entire life, I have the well-being of not only the school district, but also the well-being of the city at heart. And for that reason, I've decided to be a candidate for Chino City Council District 2. Finally, Mr. Joseph, let me reiterate in case anyone is unaware. I did not vote for you when you became interim. But I did vote for you as superintendent. You came at a time when our district needed some calm, we needed some healing, and you did provide that for our district, especially with your motto of humility, civility, and service. You've been superintendent 10 of the 12 years that I've been on the board, and along the way we became friends, kind of. We have agreed and we have disagreed. And I have not been shy to send you an email or call you with my displeasure or my disagreement. but we have always been respectful and professional to one another. I could say a lot more, but instead I'll just say thank you for your service as superintendent of our district. And that will conclude my comments.
Thank you. Mr. Cruz.
Yeah, Mr. Vasquez is going to go fishing with Mr. Joseph. Yeah. You know, Ms. Fikes and Dr. Enfield, I want to place this for the next board meeting, like under, school safety. Remember that I kind of mentioned in my comments about parents having an opportunity to be like security guards. And maybe we could put that on the agenda and have a discussion, see how far we could take that. I think a lot of parents would love to do that. Dads would love to do that, being with their children. I'm thinking at the elementary school level. Well, that would be great, Ms. Fikes and Dr. Enfield. Yes, and Peter, we do have an immigration issue. It has been going on for decades and was never news, never reported. But why now? Personally, this is a manufactured crisis, using an image to give it an emotional reaction to create a crisis in this country. And, and there's many things I think about. The outcry of parents' incarceration, where you got the separation of parents and children. And not only that, the 60 million unborn that are separated from their mothers. So I brought that up because you brought that up. And, Mr. Joseph, you started, your duties when the district was in its darkest times. And, the school district weathered a lot, throughout these storms. And we came through successfully. Your commitment and your responsibilities, you've done well. So, that's good job. You did an excellent job. No purpose of being a superintendent, so well done. Now, Dr. Enfield, I was thinking of a slogan for you. So, where we go one, we go all. Our children and our parents. And so I think we're going to do a fantastic job. I was thinking about Star Trek, maybe calling you Captain Enfield. And wherever this goes, and for me, we encourage our students to pursue their dreams. So, where we go, we all go, and parents as well. And then 4th of July, a Declaration of Independence, we gave rise to America, the Constitution. America, by definition, is really the Constitution. We have been under the same Constitution for 242 years. Our Constitution is the world's longest surviving written charter of government, followed by Norway. So that is amazing. So happy 4th of July. Thank you.
Mrs. Blair.
Ms. Fikes, Dr. Enfield, because it'll be effective July 1st. Have we ever considered implementing a coordinator of parent and family engagement instead of continuing to use a teacher on assignment?
Have we considered that? Yeah, there's been conversation that Cabinet's had about that.
Okay. Will you be bringing it forward anytime soon? What is it? What has your fact finding showed? Because it seems that we're the only district that has a teacher on assignment. The others have actual coordinators.
It will be probably something we will look at bringing forward to the board as a recommendation in some time, but not at this point.
Okay.
But it is something we're looking at.
Thank you. And then, now Mrs. Fikes, I'd like for us to consider updating board policy, specifically in relation to Dr. Enfield, the code of conduct that we approved tonight. It was really well established, and he included the CIF portion of players' code of conduct, and CIF has the same for coaches. I'd like that item to be considered to add the CIF code of conduct to our board policy that's applicable to coaches.
We'll look at that at our next meeting.
Thank you. And now I need to respond to the comments because I know that's why everyone is waiting around. I'm glad that in instances of concerns raised at Don Lugo, Mr. Joseph and the principal promptly addressed the issues. I tried to do the same. I didn't overstep my power. I asked questions and wanted answers as is expected of any of us. Yes, I wanted parents to be notified. All parents, not just a select few. Counseling was offered to the players. Since when do students make those decisions without parent involvement? So again, if parents had been notified, then they could have made the decision about counseling together. I didn't know what took place during the football season while I was running the Facebook page. And the page was deleted before I learned of the events. Even if I had known, I would not have posted it there, as it was the duty of the school site, its administration, and this school district to advise of the situation, just like it has been done in other similar situations. I never said I was disgusted with the program. I don't know where that's come from. And I also didn't say it was a horrible program. I have never bashed the school, and yes, my son continued to play, because it was his hope that there would be change, that everyone would be there, and that everything would be okay. There is no fame in this. Friendships have been fractured, and Lori Brenes, I have missed you all this time. You and I needed to have had a conversation, just you and I. I didn't receive that. But you are the only one that I really do sincerely think this should have never played out the way it did. You and you alone. But I do want to say this isn't about fame. What am I getting out of it? That individuals accuse me, that they're making false allegations. Things happened because, and I have not once mentioned that students need more discipline. I have not once said anything about the students. What I have said is that what occurred would not have occurred had there been someone in that classroom. I don't care what anyone says, that they weren't left alone. Then how does those things occur? But for the fact that they were alone, none of this would have happened. No one wants to consider their child a victim. That is fine too. It is what it is. But things did occur that a lot of the boys in that room should not have witnessed. Things have been said. I'm not the one posting on social media. I'm not the one creating anything other than expecting that we did the right thing. Advise parents from the start, advise parents after the investigation, and proceed with corrective action. I made it public several months ago that I was accused of having sent over 60 emails. I did send them because I kept waiting and waiting for us to notify parents and do the right thing. If you were the parent who was okay with what transpired in there, good. But what if there were parents who were not okay with what happened in there? They needed that same opportunity to make a decision. That's all that this was about. It was never about shaming Don Lugo because my son wanted to stay there. We wanted to stay there. He did. No one said that he was fearful or didn't like the program. This was never about him, and I never made it about the students or the school site. All I wanted was information so that parents could make their own decisions. Thank you.
Mr. Na.
Thank you. Today was kind of a heavy meeting for me. Because of the subject matters, I haven't really seen that the Don Lugo concern was blown up on TV and news media, as our parents had mentioned. But I'd like to thank you for coming to tonight's meeting, defending your students, defending your school, and defending our great nation. World progress. Education does not start at school. There's no other adults should be held responsible other than primarily parents. Kids can see through what we say, and men up there see our intentions. So we practice every day to be a decent human being and being a good neighbor and serving others. We started with black and white TV. Then we progressed into color TVs and iPads and iPhones. So same thing, our family value should grow. And again, it's about the kids. But it's not about your own kids, it's about all kids. That's what we do represent. So thank you for parents being a role model by showing up and expressing your feelings and thoughts for your kids and your schools. Because guess what? Our youth here, they watch and they'll become like you. So then our generation here is great, but next generation will be greater. So thank you, and showing me your hearts, because I'm with you. Thank you.
Mr. Joseph.
Well, this is my last time. I guess it's got to be a night of thank yous. As I look back on serving for the past 9 years as superintendent and 22 years in the district, I need to thank some special people. Michael Calta, Fred Youngblood, Chuck Dickey, Brandon Blanchard, and the late David Black, who were board members when I first began and really gave me a lot of support. I want to publicly thank them. To this board, I'd like to thank each and every one of you. There are certain things I will miss about each and every one of you. Mr. Cruz, I'll miss you asking questions and making statements and really having a passionate heart and an innocent heart, one where I know you're a person who would never purposely hurt anyone. And I've always known that. And Mr. Cruz, thank you for your past support. I appreciate it. To Mrs. Blair, I will miss the discussions about the Dodgers and the Giants. Mrs. Blair is a big Dodger fan. I'm a big Giant fan, and we've gone back and forth for a number of years about that, and I will miss that banter back and forth. But I must say tonight, for the first time, that the Dodgers will eventually win. It's just that you and I will both be dead, Mrs. Blair, when it happens. Thank you, Mrs. Blair, for your past support. To Mrs. Fikes, it is so good to be able to talk to someone who, when I say Jim and Margaret Anderson or Paladin or Lumpy Rutherford, knows what I'm talking about, because you're a contemporary of mine. And there are many discussions we've had over the last couple of years where anybody else in my cabinet wouldn't have known what the heck I was talking about.
Are you saying I'm old?
We're contemporaries. I'm older than you.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah. So I just want to thank you for all the personal discussions we've had, the discussions we've had privately. You've been a real big supporter, and I thank you for your past support. To Mr. Naw and Mr. Roscoe, when I started as superintendent, you were on the board. I'm leaving as superintendent, you're on the board, okay? You two have really been towers of strength for me. Mr. Naw, for you, I'm going to miss those calls on Saturday or holidays or whatever, asking me if I can extend grace to some person out there in the community. I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss going with you to sick kids who, might have a critical illness. I'm going to miss that because we've done that many times over the 9 years. To Ms. Orozco, I'm going to miss you saying to me, I have a question for you. And seeing your left hand being used on on questions you need to ask me as you go down the row. To Mr. Na and Mrs. Orozco, thank you for your support and your support recently with a couple of issues. You've always had my back, and I thank you. Now to Cabinet, Greg Statura, the man that very few people has such a rapier wit. You are quick-witted, and people who don't know you don't know that because you're very quiet. I'm going to miss that, Greg. I'm really going to miss that. I want to thank you because you and I and Julie Gobin were out there for 18 months selling that bond, that $750 million bond. Wouldn't have happened without you and Julie. And let me tell you, this district will benefit from that bond for years to come. I thank you for that. And I thank you for your support, your past support. To Leah Fellows, what a beautiful spirit, what a beautiful soul you have. Unbelievable. If you know this lady, you know what a great spirit she has. I'm going to miss that spirit. I'm going to miss that smile. But don't let anything get in the way of that. Don't let the nastiness that goes on sometimes, don't let it get in the way of that, okay? And thank you for your past support. Grace Park, I can't believe you're sitting still, okay? You are a bundle of energy. I mean, every time I see you, you're coming and going. No one works harder in this district than Grace Park, without a doubt. Your work ethic is unbelievable. You know, I've said to you, what about your family, Grace? What about, oh, don't worry, my family's going to be okay. No one is more devoted to this district than you. And I thank you for your past support. Sandra Chen, when I came to you years ago and said, hey, you know, my business and my assistant superintendent of business has left, you were in facilities, and everybody was saying to me, oh, you got to get someone experienced in business to take that person's place because we're in the midst of a fiscal crisis. And what did you do? You stepped up when I came to you, and you accepted the position, and you've never looked back. You have been a rock for this district. You have helped guide this district through very tough times. As superintendent, sometimes I get the accolades for it, but it was you who did it. It was you who helped us through Measure M, and it was you who made sure we were fiscally solvent. And I thank you for your support, and I will miss you. And now, Dr. Enfield. I'm going to miss 6 o'clock in the morning, every morning, 6:30, seeing you, coming in, us talking about life, you know, not only the district, but life. And, you know, a number of years ago, I lost the best friend of mine of 30 years. I never thought I'd have that kind of friend again. But you become that friend. And I'm honored to call you a friend. You're the best person to take this ship, the very best person. I can't see a person coming from outside being superintendent. In this district, you're kidding me, right? You're ready. You're the best person, and I wish you nothing but success. You know, this is a great district. There are always going to be people who, through their own narcissism and hubris and nihilism, who are going to try to paint this picture in a negative way. But it's a great district day in and day out. You know, this board and this superintendent deal with 28,000 kids, 2,500 employees, and at least 40,000 parents and guardians a day. That's 70,000 people a day. You don't think there are going to be problems? Of course there are going to be problems. But by and large, this community is there to support this district. let me go back to 2009 for a minute, because my last thank you is to Donnie Schenkel. Donnie Schenkel, when asked by Mr. Naw who should be superintendent, said Wayne Joseph. James Naw talks to Michael Coulter, who calls me on a Saturday. And I said, are you kidding me? Look, I don't, superintendent of this district, they just closed 3 schools. They just lost a lawsuit to the Lewis Company to open Cal Aero. They just paying a $6 million instructional minutes penalty. The economy's going out of control. We're going to have to lay off all these people, and it's going to probably be a program improvement district. And so when Michael Coulter called me, I told him, well, you know, nice of you to call me. As a courtesy, I'll call you back tomorrow and let you know. And someone told me later that day that, well, maybe the district needs you. But only in Chino would our security guard be the kingmaker. He's the one who made it happen, okay? And I have to thank you for that. To the Chino community generally, the city council, the fire, the police, to every parent and student and custodian and secretary and groundsman that I have come in contact with over these 22 years, thank you. You've been an inspiration to me, and it's been a great labor of love. Thank you, and I can never repay what all you have done for me. Thanks again.
I think I should adjourn, but I have to say a couple of things. First of all these sad faces over here. I'm the only one retired who sits up here. And so this is not a sad thing. This is a happy thing. And I hope we're going to see you. I want to say, it bugs me every time Mrs. Orozco reads off those retirements, and she only tells the years they were in Chino. And I get that we celebrate the years they were in Chino, but what I want to talk about is the total number of years that Mr. Joseph has served children in our community, because he was just over the 60 freeway for the first 23 years. And then he did the last 22 years here. I am hopeful that many of you reflect on people you know. Most careers don't go 45 years. And I was in this career a long time. I know from whence I speak. It is not an easy job. It is not an easy job every day to come in and be the optimist and try to bring out the best in the people with whom you work. And that's what we've had. And of course, that's why you look sad, because we're going to miss that. It is not, we do not expect you to replace him, because you're not him. You're going to move on in a new direction. You are irreplaceable as a person, not irreplaceable as a superintendent. We're going to have a new superintendent, and like I always say, we're going to be fine. But we will miss you. We will miss you every meeting. We are grateful to you, and I hope you'll all join me in an ovation for Mr. Joseph. And with that, I adjourn the meeting at 8:29.
You guys stay here. You guys sign the contract. Oh, yeah, yeah.